Well, good evening, and thank you for joining me this evening as a little virtual fireside chat. For those that I have not had the opportunity to meet yet, my name is Matt Hart, and for the last 2 weeks, I've had the opportunity to serve as your scout executive for the great Northwest Georgia Council. For me and my family, we're very excited to be back in Northwest Georgia. This is home for us, and many of the memories that made me the person I am today were made right here in the Northwest Georgia Council, and we're glad to be back with you. Now, to say the timing of coming back to the Northwest Georgia Council could have been a little bit better is an understatement. Literally 2 days after arriving back in the council territory, the world seemed to stop spinning all of a sudden. And ever since then, we've had to be in a position we don't want to be in, which is much more reactive to the environment that we are working in today and for the ability to do what we need to do. Just like each of our personal families, the local council, councils across the country, as well as our national council, are having to adjust and adapt to a unprecedented situation to be in. Now, granted, the Boy Scouts of America has survived the Great Depression, 2 world wars, the Vietnam War, and a host of other items, and we will come through this as well. But it is an interesting time in scouting. I do want to thank those folks that were involved with allowing me to come to the Northwest Georgia Council. And I do want to say a special thank you on the front end to the support staff here in our council and to the volunteers who have really stepped up during the time of December, January, and went and stepped outside their comfort zone and did some things and kept the council moving in a positive direction. Do want to say a special thank you to those folks. I also want to say a special thanks to Eric Vaughn tonight for setting this up. Eric is our vice president for marketing and communications and does a great job. If you don't follow us on Facebook, please do, because there are a host of resources that we're pushing out to keep scouting active and keep scouting moving throughout these times. And we've been grateful for the emails and texts that we've received. There's some great things happening out there. We've been invited to be a part of virtual troop meetings and boards of review, and scouting is still happening. And in some cases, scouting is working because it's what we want it to be. We want families to be together, progress, grow, and learn. And now, granted, even with today's news of school being gone for the rest of the year and stay-at-home orders being put in place starting Friday, I think scouting will be one of the few things that can pull families together. Hopefully you've seen we've put a host of resources out, and we will continue to do so. We've got an incredible event coming up at the end of April. All the scout councils in Georgia are partnering together for a virtual backyard campout. We'll be announcing that in the next day or so and putting information up on that. And we hope that you will take part in that. Now, we've also had some interesting comments from folks. All the time that folks have not been able to do things like their online trainings and activities, they're getting them done. So if your youth protection is about to expire, what better time when we're all sitting at home to do those activities that we need to do in the background. Do want to answer a couple of questions. We're very low tech tonight. It's literally one sheet of paper of questions that were sent in and some scratch notes that I want to give. And we won't be very long. I know that many of us probably watching this have been Skyped and conference called and Zoomed to death in the last week. So we just want to have a good time, visit with you, give you some updates. We get a lot of the frequently asked questions around here, and just let you know we're here for you. Anything we can do to help you. If there's a particular item you need or a question answered, we're still here. Now, granted, our doors are locked, but thankfully we're all staying very far apart in the office, and we're doing what we can to keep scouting progressing. Let me touch base on the number one question that's come into both here at the office and literally out at camp as well, and that is the status on summer camp and summer camping programs, both Twilight Camp, Scouts BSA resident camp, and those type things. As of this moment, and granted this is as you well know, changes day to day, we are planning on summer camp occurring as is. Unless for some reason we cannot do it, we believe that, like most councils and our national high adventure bases, when we're given the all clear and we're past this time, what better thing to do than be outside and be in a group and be at camp? We're going to watch that. We've had conversations this week with both our summer camp food operation. I've met with our camp director today. They're proceeding with staff selection and everything as we plan on. Could things happen that require us to either delay? Who knows? But as of right now, all summer activities are going to proceed as scheduled. We're doing our pre-camp inspection and going through the normal opening procedures as we've scheduled. That is happening Saturday with a very small group of people to get our necessary permits and those things rolling. And on the camp note, I did have a special message from our ranger. Now, granted, it's got to be small groups, but if you're cooped up and you want to get out, Bill has got a project for you to do. So you're welcome to come out to camp. If you call him first, let him know who's coming. Granted, we cannot have any type of groups, but if there's one or two people want to come out, he's got plenty of projects because he's proceeding as if camp is going to open in June. Same thing with Twilight Camp. All of our day camp leadership, or Twilight Camp leadership, had to modify their camp school, but they're being certified and they're going through the process. So we're going to continue on that process and hope that we can provide that experience. The young people, they want that experience, and we want to provide it to them. Someone who grew up at Sydney Dew and has those fond memories, we want those opportunities to make those life-changing memories. Another common question we get in the office is related to camp cards. And discussing that, what we're going to do, and we do not know the beginning date, but we do know that based upon the original sale dates, we've lost about 45 days worth of camp card sales. The idea will be at some point when we're able to continue, open the sale back up, get it going for your storefront sales and those types of things, and run about a 45-day sale when we're able to. Now, I have been impressed with many of the reports we're getting that so many of you are doing online sales and they're doing virtual sales, and you're still able to sell camp cards. But I do appreciate the fact that the bread and butter of the popcorn sale is talking to people in front of stores. So at some point when we can, we're going to extend that. We'll spread that out. We'll announce those dates as soon as we know them. And you'll probably be able to figure them out very quickly because you'll hear the same information that we do. Things like that were scheduled to happen in April. Things like district banquets and all these types of things. Those are being pushed off. If you look at our council website, you will see that they're actually gone. There are some things that we're going to try to pick back up and do, but there are some things we will just not be able to do this year. As it relates to some of our recognitions that happen at district banquets, our idea currently is to expand the council banquet to make just one great gathering where we recognize and honor those units and volunteers that give service at the district and the council level and make those recognitions available. We're very excited. We are preparing for the upcoming year. We've got it right here. We're not quite ready to roll it out, but we are working on the May normal time schedule, next year's prep calendar, and all the activities. Our program group met almost a month ago and has developed a pretty good calendar that's very exciting and does a great job of providing memories that'll last a lifetime. The process will continue through its normal process of being approved by our council executive board, and we do plan to roll that out on schedule in May. So be on the lookout for that. This week, there's been a lot of changes as we go forward, at least in April, and of course, as you well know, during March. But a couple of things that we do want to kind of highlight, and you'll see some of these things on our website now. The Northwest Georgia Council is currently working on the National Scout Jamboree. Now, even though this is not until next year, there is information on our website, and we would encourage folks to take a look at that if you've ever had an interest. As someone who's been to numerous national and world jamborees, it is quite the experience. And the fact that you can spend time at the summit and have some memories that you really can't have anywhere else. Do want to touch base on some questions that we were sent, because that's what started this. When you get selected for a new council, the first thing you want to do is get out into the field and spend time with the volunteers. We had fireside chats scheduled in all 3 of our districts. And of course, they didn't happen. So it's an interesting time to be with you. But just want to share. One of the great questions I got on here was, what are your priorities for 2020? Well, if you had asked me back in January when we were selected to come to Rome, had some very important priorities. Number one, let's get to Rome. Let's get our money raised. Let's get our job done. Let's hire some staff. Let's get a full team in the field, and let's work towards an even greater future. Well, as you can well imagine, with what's happened in the last 30 days and what we're expecting in the next 30 days, we're not going to be able to do that. We are not going to be able to do what we want to do. I want to share a fact with you that we put it together that you might find interesting. In the first 30 days after I was scheduled to be here, we were going to have 3 large Friends of Scouting events. Those are the bread and butter of our Friends of Scouting campaign every year. That combined with camp cards was going on right now, not to mention income expected related to camp reservations and those types of things. If you add all these things, 3 things together in the months of March, April, and May, that is 68.5% of our entire council budget that we're going to have to be very careful now and try to do what we can to manage our cash, try to keep the doors open. Many of you may have followed them in your news. There's furloughs happening across many fields, including scouting. Our board is committed to keep the staff we can. Maybe it's good right now that we've got vacancies. It's hard, I know, for all of us. But at the time, we're going to put a hiring freeze on. We're not going to do anything related to our staff until we can see where we're going to shake out. That's just the responsible and the scout way of being thrifty. I do want to say a special thank you to those folks who are continuing to pay. I know there's been a lot of family Friends of Scouting presentations. Thank you. I can't say thank you enough. And thank you for those folks that have continuing to pay on their pledge. We know it's a time of great uncertainty across our community. And a lot of times the charitable giving side of the house pays first and is the last to recover. But I do want to say a special thank you to those who are helping us keep the doors open right now. Also, another question I want to ask, talking about issues. We already talked about the Twilight Camp. We talked about camp card sales. Actually, we've answered most of the questions that are already on here. There's a couple on here that are kind of specific to an individual unit or maybe a particular community. In that case, I would encourage you to reach out to me directly. We'll be glad to talk to you about maybe anything individual to your area. Do want to say a special thanks once again to those volunteers that are continuing to make scouting happen. Hopefully you've seen a lot of the resources, and we've put a lot of them on our Facebook page, on our website, giving you alternative methods of advancement and various other ways to keep scouting moving. Like I said, I've been extremely excited to see. I've been invited to several virtual meetings, and please continue to send the invitations. I would be glad to be a part of any meeting if I can. Matter of fact, our commissioners are meeting immediately following this 7:30 tonight after this meeting, and they're going to continue to serve units. Hopefully you've seen the examples of how things like membership and recharters and those types of things can be done electronically. There's a lot of room now to make things happen, to make things convenient, and we want to support you in those efforts. So with that, please scout on. Please reach out to us if we can be of support to you. All of our staff are answering their cell phones. They're responding to emails. And we want scouting, when this is over, we're going to come out better. We're going to come out stronger. We're going to be in a great place to deliver the scouting ideals to the next generation of young people. Thank you for joining me for a few minutes tonight. I wish we could have done it face to face. So got a lot more things we'd like to talk about, but I know it is dinner time. And 13th point of the scout law is a scout is hungry. So enjoy your evening, and thank you for joining us.